What's up, guys? Happy New Year, and wow, we have a lot to talk about. Not only do we have to discuss the 5 biggest surprises of the 2018 season thus far, which you already knew because it was the name of the title, but before that, I do have some awesome news. Starting today on this channel, I'm going to be putting out more content than ever before. From now on, right here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, you're going to have a video to watch. And as for the second channel, that's going to have a schedule too, but we'll talk about that next video. But basically what I'm saying is, if you enjoy the content here, if you like watching this, then get excited. And if you don't, I kind of wonder why you're here. But I hope you don't leave, because I think you're going to enjoy the 5 biggest surprises of the 2018 NBA season so far. Number 5. Victor Oladipo. When the Indiana Pacers traded Paul George to the Thunder for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis, everyone ripped Pacers GM Kevin Pritchard for what we thought was a joke of a deal. This move was judged so negatively that many thought Pritchard would soon be fired, and ESPN even went as far as ranking the Pacers offseason as the worst in the entire NBA, giving Indiana an F grade while saying the Pacers still failed to capitalize on Paul George's trade value by taking Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis over the other deals on the table. And Oladipo has little, if any, net value above and beyond his $21 million salary. But as we all know now, everyone, including myself, was completely wrong. Before the season, ESPN projected Indiana would finish 11th in the East with just 32 wins. But the Pacers instead are on track to make the playoffs and might be the NBA's biggest surprise. The main reason for this, of course, has been the play of Victor Oladipo. Finally getting the type of touches a number 2 overall pick would expect to get, Oladipo has made a tremendous leap, starting this 2018 season with all-star numbers of 24.9 points, 3.9 assists, and 5.3 rebounds a game. And what's even more impressive is that despite this huge increase in his offensive load, he's somehow become a drastically more efficient player as well, as his PER has gone from 13.6 in 2017 to 23.9 this year. And trust me, this ascension to NBA All-Star status has been no fluke. The emergence of Victor Oladipo is simply due to hard work. Last summer, fresh off a trade that gave him tremendous hate, Victor was invited to practice in Dwayne Wade's gym. As it turns out, this gave him the ultimate level of motivation. As he has said, when you walk into the gym and you see LeBron James and Dwayne Wade's jerseys and those names on the wall, it gives you a certain motivation every day. Those are 2 of the top players to ever play. That's what I aspire and dream about being. So why not put in the work? By the time the summer was over, Oladipo had transformed his game and his body. Finally, he was given the chance to become a franchise player, and he jumped at it. But what's even more impressive to me, when we look beyond the stats, beyond the wins, we see that Victor has become the perfect leader for a young team. Throughout this entire season, whenever he has been praised, instead of talking about himself, Victor instead chooses to praise his teammates. To give you just one example, I think Miles Turner puts it best when he said, "It's big time when you have someone in your corner like that. Vic's playing well. A lot of guys would just be cool with that. Like, I'm getting mine, this is my team, yada yada." But Vic knows this is a collective effort. Number 4, LeBron James 3-point shooting. Okay, I have to admit something here. I think I may have overreacted to last year's NBA Finals. I said no team had a chance to beat the Warriors this season and that Golden State was just too good. I figured that as LeBron got older, he was eventually going to slip and the Cavaliers' championship window would get smaller and smaller. But it turns out that LeBron James may actually be a basketball alien sent to this earth to make us have LeBron versus Michael Jordan debates for the rest of our lives. Because somehow, at 33 years old, LeBron James looks like he's only getting better. This season, he's averaging 27.8 points, 9.2 assists, and 8.2 rebounds a game. His 30.2 PER is the best he's put up since 5 seasons ago when he was 28. when he was supposed to be in his absolute prime. But again, LeBron is a basketball alien, so this season he's added a new weapon, an absolutely knockdown three-point jumper. Now, LeBron's jump shot has never really been horrible, but he's also never been an elite three-point shooter for an extended period of time. Even in 2013, when he shot just over 40% from three, he was only taking 3.3 threes a game. This season though, LeBron is shooting over 5 threes a game and is again connecting on around 40% from deep. This has allowed his game to open up even more, as opponents cannot afford to sag off him even for a second. And the weird thing here is, while LeBron has certainly put in the work to better his jump shot, the initial improvement actually came due to an injury. Yes, a few weeks after the NBA Finals last season, LeBron has said that his right shooting elbow mysteriously swelled to the size of a tennis ball. X-rays would come back negative, so LeBron continued to practice, and because his elbow was hurting him, he was forced to change his mechanics and began to shoot with a higher release point. Eventually, when his elbow recovered, LeBron chose to keep this new shooting form as he noticed a big improvement. So yeah, even when LeBron seemingly gets hurt, it's really the basketball gods somehow making him better. So with James Harden out for at least 2 weeks and Isaiah Thomas back for the Cavs, LeBron has a pretty good chance to win his 5th MVP this season. And for those of you counting at home, that would of course match Michael Jordan. Number 3, Donovan Mitchell. I'm going to keep this one short because I'm actually working on a full Donovan Mitchell video that will be posted next week. So make sure to subscribe to watch that next week if you are new. Shameless plug. Anyway, because we're not going to deep dive until next week, let's just focus on one thing here. Right now, Donovan Mitchell is averaging 18.2 points, 3.4 assists, and 1.5 steals a game, and according to Vegas, he has the second best odds to win the Rookie of the Year. This is a man who already looks like he could be a future All-Star at least. He's a player who, if he develops correctly and puts in the work, could be a legitimate NBA superstar one day, and because he was seen as a combo guard and not a true point guard, not only did Donovan Mitchell slip to the 13th pick in the draft, but it was the Denver Nuggets that took him, then traded him to the Jazz for Trey Lyles and the 24th pick. Just looking at this trade, right now as a third-year pro, Trey Lyles is averaging under 10 points per game, and the 24th pick, Tyler Lydon, has spent most of his time in the G League and has only played in 2 NBA minutes so far. Which means if Donovan Mitchell does continue to grow into a star, the Nuggets have a chance to join the list of worst trades ever made. Denver fans, I am very sorry. Number 2, Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. Last year, the Celtics shocked pretty much everyone when they decided to trade their number 1 overall pick to the Sixers for the number 3 pick and a possible Laker or Kings pick in the future. For months, Markelle Fultz had been seen as the unquestionable number 1 pick, so the Celtics were definitely taking a risk. And being honest here, until Markelle Fultz plays, we can't really judge this trade fully. What we can judge though is Danny Ainge's decision to draft Jason Tatum with the 3rd pick, because right now that pick looks like a home run. And going even further, the decision to draft Tatum looks even better for Danny Ainge because of the basketball roster and culture he has created in Boston. When looking at the Golden State Warriors, it's easy to get swept up in their ridiculous ability to shoot the ball, but what's really turned Golden State into an absolute powerhouse is their defensive ability. When the Warriors go small and have Draymond at center, they can virtually switch any of their players onto any offensive player on the court. This strategy has wreaked havoc on the league since the Warriors' small ball lineup was introduced, and as Golden State racked up more wins and more championships, it's no surprise that other teams have attempted to copy what they're doing. And now, with a roster that includes versatile players such as Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Terry Rozier, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Morris, Al Horford, and Gordon Hayward when he's healthy, it's the Celtics who have now laid a foundation for a defensive juggernaut that can seamlessly switch their players on one side of the court and create matchup nightmares on the other. There's a reason that even after Gordon Hayward went down in the first game of the season, the Celtics were still able to win 16 games in a row and currently sit as the #1 seed in the East. And sure, right now I don't think they have the talent and experience this season to beat the Cavs, but what I do think is this. If I were a Celtics fan, I would be very excited for what the future holds. Kyrie Irving looks like a legitimate #1 option on a championship team. Jason Tatum looks like he has the chance to be one of the best players in this draft. And Danny Ainge just keeps making right move after right move. I mean, when you give up the #1 pick and end up with a 19-year-old who's averaging 14 points per game for the top seed in the East, while shooting 47% from 3, then you're probably doing everything right. And #1, Chris Paul and the Houston Rockets. The 2017 offseason was one of the craziest summers the NBA has ever seen. And with big moves came huge questions. Would the Thunder be able to start 3 score-first All-Stars and win games? Would Jimmy Butler finally end the Timberwolves' embarrassingly long missed playoff streak? And finally, would the Rockets be able to contend with 2 ball-dominant guards? So, looking at these 3 questions, we found that the Thunder have had their ups and downs but are still full of potential. The Timberwolves have performed as expected with a new All-Star on their roster and look like they'll make the playoffs for the first time in 14 seasons. And the Rockets, well, it's Houston that has clearly been the most impressive of these 3 teams. Because right now, when Chris Paul is playing for the Houston Rockets, they are 16-2 and actually look like a legitimate NBA contender. Sure, if everyone stays healthy, the Warriors will probably beat the Rockets in the playoffs. But looking at this Houston team, I really do think they have a chance to compete. The reason I think this is that yes, the team has been winning with Chris Paul, but they're still nowhere near their full potential. I don't care who you are. Any team that pairs a future Hall of Fame ball-dominant point guard on their roster with a future Hall of Fame ball-dominant shooting guard is going to go through some early struggles. We saw this happen with LeBron and D-Wade in Miami. Eventually, great players will make it work, but it takes time. And yes, again, Houston has been 16-2 with Chris Paul, so they've managed to cover their struggles pretty well. But when we look at the Rockets' best 5-man lineups that have played at least 40 minutes together on the court, we can see that Chris Paul has certainly still been learning to fit into the Houston Rockets system, and there is certainly room for Houston to become a better team. Just looking at the screen right now, we can see that Chris Paul has been in only one of the Rockets' 7 5-man lineups that have outscored opponents this season. And yes, the lineup he's a part of is only ranked 6th. If you're a Rockets fan and concerned by this, though, don't be. Right now, Houston is 2nd in the Western Conference. All these stats tell me is that the Rockets might have a greater best-case scenario than we ever thought possible. Because if I was the GM of a basketball team, I would bet on players like James Harden and Chris Paul. Sure, they're both used to dominating the ball. Sure, they're gonna have to get used to sacrificing some touches. But at the end of the day, guys like James Harden and Chris Paul just want to win. So there we have it, guys, and I know what you're all thinking. Where is Kyle Kuzma? Also, where is Mirotic? That man has been balling, which kind of sucks because I'm a Bulls fan and I want them to tank. Anyway, like Donovan Mitchell, I think I'm eventually going to do a video involving Kyle Kuzma, if not centered around Kyle Kuzma. So I didn't want to have 2 of those guys on this list, and honestly, I'll say it, I'm more excited about Donovan Mitchell. Anyway, Lakers fans, please do not unsubscribe. I do still love Kuz. With all of this said though, another reminder, I'm grinding this year. I'm going to be putting out 3 videos a week. So if you're not subscribed and you love the NBA, then make sure to subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, you know the deal. You are awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day. And cue that music.